It's most importantly because this group in front has not proven trustworthy. You're looking at 7 different offensive line combinations, 4 different guys in different spots today than what we saw 1 week ago. No, they've got to run. They've got to get the ball out of his hands, and they're going to have to play really good defense to keep this thing compelling into the fourth quarter.
60 minutes of football to determine who will play in the Big Ten championship game. And this, a knuckleball that goes out of bounds. So that will give Penn State field position to their own 35-yard line. A mistake to start the game for Kevin Cronin.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team number 99. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Well, this Michigan State defense owned the front for Ohio State last week. The Buckeyes entered that matchup last week, number 1 in the Big Ten in scoring and rushing offense, number 2 in total offense. Never had a team under Urban Meyer been held to that total yardage number of 132 yards. A dominant performance, especially by the front 7. That's the task that faces Christian Hackenberg today. And he'll take off and run to start the game. And pick up 5 yards out to the 40-yard line.
And that's a must. That's what he's going to have to do. It's 1-2 and run. Or 1-2 and throw the ball away. You've got to avoid the negative plays. 37 sacks, 44 a season ago. And Christian has been beat up. He's been battered. I think he's incredibly tough physically. He's going to have to be just as emotionally tough today. And I like that start because there's going to be opportunities for him to run. And 5 yards and first down is a win for Penn State.
Up the middle goes Barkley. That's a first down for Penn State. And we talked to James Franklin yesterday and asked him if he felt his team schematically could spread this defense out and maybe give Hackenberg and Barkley some time and some opportunities. He said no. You disagree?
Yeah, he said no because he wants to protect that group up front. I think you do that by getting the ball out of your quarterback's hands, but I will say this, you also do it by running the ball like that. You did not see a hole like that for 4 quarters in Columbus a week ago.
Well, here they are, out of the shotgun, 4 wide, now an empty backfield. Exactly what James Franklin told us yesterday they wouldn't do. And it's successful to Chris Godwin. Down the sideline, he's got a first down for Penn State. All the way down to the Michigan State 31. I can't believe we were lied to by a head coach in a production meeting.
Well, Tom Brady is the guy that Christian Hackenberg, like a lot of college quarterbacks, loves to emulate. And Tom Brady's got moving pieces up front. He's got no receivers to throw to. And what do? They put him in empty because it simplifies the defense. It slows down pass rush, and it gives you the opportunity, I think, to protect yourself by getting the ball out of your hand.
Hackenberg, he's going to take a shot to the end zone. It looks like it's intercepted, and it is. Arjun Colhoun, perfect coverage. Hackenberg took a shot, and Michigan State gets a takeaway.
So John Donovan, offensive coordinator, James Franklin, said we have to take our shots. It's what Nebraska did in this matchup when they put 39 on the board. But watch the corner, watch Calhoun. You cannot make this throw when he's got 8 yards of cushion, you do not gain on it, and he does nothing but look back at you. Now, if you're going to throw that pass, it has to be to the back pylon where Geno gets it or nobody gets it. You have to read. You cannot be predetermined, and this is a conversation. You cannot predetermine what you're going to do against elite defenses.
Now our eyes on Connor Cook, and that injured right shoulder suffered in the Maryland game. Was not able to play at Ohio State last week. He'll start on the ground with Gerald Holmes. And he grinds out about 2 or 3 yards. Malik Golden made the stop for the Nittany Lions. And at some point, when Connor Cook really has to rip one outside the numbers, the question today is, can he do it?
And you got to hope the adrenaline, if you're a Michigan State fan, is there, because that sure compensates an awful lot when you know everything is on the line and you're a redshirt senior that came back to school to win championships.
Gerald Holmes now is a wideout to the bottom of your screen. Empty for Connor Cook. 4-man rush. That had some velocity on it. Up the numbers to Aaron Burbridge for a first down.
Yeah, that's a tight window throw right there. You asked about velocity. That's an inside fade from the slot against zone coverage. You've got 3 guys looking at that, and you've got to put it into the one spot where your senior buddy is going to go up and get it. That's an excellent throw. That's one he was not making 2 hours ago, nor even an hour ago in warm-ups. He's continued to heat up.
Holmes again breaks a tackle. He's got a first down. Jason Kabinda made the stop after a gain of 11.
And one of the moves Penn State has made is they have moved Anthony Zettel out to defensive end. He is normally that 3-technique defensive tackle, but because of a rash of injuries, there's no Garrett Sickles today. Carl Nassib played the first couple snaps, but he's going to be limited with his hamstring injury. Keep an eye on that matchup and how much Michigan State will want to attack a D-tackle playing in this afternoon.
And Carl Nassib on the sideline. Cook floats it down the sideline. Caught but out of bounds. So it will be 2nd down and 10. Now Carl Nassib, 15.5 sacks, number 1 in FBS. But he is on the sideline, so that's the best pass rusher not out there to harass Connor Cook.
And they need him. He makes people around him better. You talk about that with quarterbacks an awful lot, how you elevate an offensive line or wide receivers. When you lead the country in sacks and right there in tackles for loss, the attention comes your way and it helps your buddies out. They were slowed down with his absence a week ago.
A leg injury against Michigan. He only played 3 snaps last week. Wide receiver screen to R.J. Shelton. Crosses the 50, but it sets up 3rd down.
And you're going to see that at least a half dozen times, if not 10 times today. Penn State struggled to tackle out on the perimeter against Michigan a week ago, as you see Connor Cook going up-tempo here on 3rd down.
Penn State couldn't get set. Wide open as a result. Reaching for the first down and picking it up is Gerald Holmes.
And right there is the difference of a 5th-year senior that's back under center. You weren't doing that a week ago with Tyler O'Connor. You weren't doing that with Damian Terry. You can see Penn State, they're trying to get set. But this is why they're number 1 in the Big Ten on 3rd down. Connor Cook is really good at the situational football, as he should be. Starting 36 games, slows the game down, understands where everybody's got to be. Excellent job going up-tempo.
Inside the 35, grinding out a few more is Gerald Holmes. 8 yards on 1st down. Another tackle from Malik Golden, and if your safeties are making all the tackles, that's not a great sign for your defense.
No, that's excellent movement. That is that power play that they feel like Michigan State have got their horses back up front. They've got all the guys in the right spot now for multiple weeks. Really good movement on the double team on Austin Johnson, and Holmes isn't screwing around. He knows where to go. It's north and south in this system. He started now 4 straight games because he's starting to get it as a redshirt sophomore.
Based on injury and depth chart changes, 4 different backs have had opportunities. And now flags down at the snap. Looks like a false start called against the Spartans.
False start, offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
We'll see Brandon Bell here, the junior linebacker. He's going to come up into the frame here, and it just causes Jack Conklin, really good left tackle. Redshirt junior player. He's a difference maker. Missed a couple games for this team. A lot of the guys up front did for the Spartans. As I said, now that they're back in the right spots, a lot of comfort level with the experience up front.
Four-man rush on 2nd and 7. Connor Cook beats the coverage to Burbridge. That's a 1st down. Garrett Sickles out for today's game. Carl Nassib over on the sideline. Can Penn State rush 4 without 2 of their best pass rushers? Or at some point, do you have to, if you're Bob Shoop, take some chances and bring some edge pressure with your linebackers and corners?
Fair question, but you do that against a 5th-year senior who is going to spot it and take advantage. That's the real catch-22 that Bob's going to be in all afternoon.
9th play of the drive, play action. Looking for the end zone and dropping it in it perfectly is Cook to R.J. Shelton for the touchdown.
Well, you play zone coverage and you don't come after him, and Marcus Allen there just gets real nosy from his safety position. The sophomore has no right to come down whatsoever on that run fake. He does, and Michigan State knows what to do. R.J. Shelton has played a ton of ball, is a junior. Burbridge, a senior. Connor Cook, a redshirt senior. Guys showing you they're built for this moment.
Michael Geiger, he was built for the moment last week when he made a 41-yard field goal to win on the road at the Horseshoe. Just missed a point after, so it's only 6-0. Connor Cook, 5 of 6 for 63 yards on the touchdown drive.
And with Baylor losing, Notre Dame is beat up. They've got to go out on the farm and play Stanford. I'm not saying they're going to creep all the way back into the number 4, but what an incredibly dominant performance after being stuffed a week ago.
Koa Farmer was heading in the wrong direction and decided to bring it out. Only gets to the 16. Our first opportunity today to say hello to Adnan Enver. All right, Adnan, thanks very much. It's a 6-0 lead. Michigan State scoring on their opening drive after they got the interception of Hackenberg in the end zone by Arjun Colhoun, but they missed the point after. Scooping it up is Godwin. That was a tight window for Hackenberg. Threw it right at Godwin's knees, and he made a nice catch in traffic. Darian Harris missed the tackle.
That's excellent ball placement. And this is what happens when you empty it out. You get some of those numbers, and Spartans outside of the box. Good play action pass, and Darian Harris all over that one. But good ball placement. An accurate throw is going to beat a zone defender on the back right there of Godwin.
Godwin's number 2 in the Big Ten in yards per game, number 7 in receptions per game. He's the favorite target this year for Hackenberg. And they'll throw it out to him on the edge. He's got a step across the 35. Let's see where they mark him out. Close to the 40-yard line at about the 38. That's a gain of 7.5 on first down.
Well, you're seeing a couple things here if you're Penn State that you really like. You're seeing Christian Hackenberg getting into some rhythm. That is the number 1 most common phrase that we have heard from their coaching staff, really in all 3 games that we called. You've got to find a way to get Christian feeling good about himself, because when he does, his fundamentals are more sound and he can make every throw in the playbook. And I like the mix right here. A little bit of run, a lot of empty, a lot of spread. Easy completions for Hackenberg.
Saquon Barkley fighting hard for the first down. Darian Harris, who really is that leader in that linebacking core for Michigan State, was there to him first, and he might be just shy. Looks like it's going to be third down and about a foot. Trying to keep the drive alive with Barkley as the lone setback on third down and a foot. Why not quarterback sneak it with your 6'4", 228-pound quarterback? And that is enough for a Penn State first down as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, Mark D'Antonio, he's very much into goals for his team and visualizing those goals. Pretty much everywhere you look in the athletic facility, you see mottos, you see quotes. He actually has his players each and every week. He hands out this little piece of paper, and he has them write their goals. Their 5 goals for that weekend's game. Darian Harris told me one of his goals was to be a leader, play through adversity. But this is something that all the players and even some of the coaches, including D'Antonio, do.
Well, they bring a blitz here after Hackenberg. Long throw to the sideline and mistimed for Deshaun Hamilton. Riley Bulla got some pressure on Hackenberg.
Well, that's their number 1 blitz. Christian Hackenberg's going to see this, and every team reps it. They know what's coming. They know those double A-gap linebacker blitz is coming with Mark D'Antonio and his defensive staff. Doesn't matter. The coach Narduzzi moved on. So much of that scheme is still here. It's a veteran defensive staff, and they love getting those linebackers activated. And further, there is no tell. Christian Hackenberg cannot look by alignment when that blitz is coming. It's all post-snap, and that hurried that throw.
Deshaun Hamilton, one-on-one, makes a move, spins to midfield, and he's about 3 yards shy of the first down. So 3rd down and 3 coming up. You know what I love about Mark D'Antonio? Now, he is a monotone speaker. When he walks in the room, you're not expecting excitement, but he is not afraid to set goals and talk about them. He talks about national championships, playing in Rose Bowls, winning Big Ten titles with his team throughout the year. You don't get the cliches of it's just about the next game, it's just about the next practice, and he seems to encourage his players to talk about those goals as well.
It tells you that he trusts the culture here and he really likes the veterans on this team, but he wasn't doing that 9 years ago when he started.
3rd down. Hackenberg has time, extends the play, throws a bomb, underthrown for Hamilton, who can't fight his way back to the ball, but there's a flag down in the offensive backfield.
Holding. Offense, number 59. Penalties decline. 4th down.
It's going to be Andrew Nelson, who's flipping over from right tackle to left tackle. They're sitting Paris Palmer available, but just beat up. And you can see right there, anytime within that framework, and that's Lawrence Thomas doing a good job, exaggerating, making sure that umpire can see, that back ref, that Andrew's got a good tug of the uniform and the jersey. Once again, a pretty quality drive, getting Hackenberg into some rhythm that we have not seen for large chunks against good competition, but just unable to finish on 3rd down.
Pasquarello set to punt. McGarrett Kings, who had a huge fumble last week of a punt, a muff, was deep to receive, but Pasquarello kicks it away from him and does it perfectly. Down to the 5-yard line, a 45-yard punt has Michigan State backed up. Can help Penn State put together an upset, put Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game in spite of their loss last week to Michigan State. But the Spartans off to a good start. A convincing opening drive, and L.J. Scott starts this next drive with a 4-yard gain. Brandon Bell in on the tackle for the Nittany Lions. It's the long field now for Michigan State on their 2nd possession, but Brock, they were really efficient the first time they had the ball.
Yeah, Connor Cook had an absolute plan. He was accurate. The touchdown pass with Marcus Allen, the safety, getting greedy. He threw into a couple tight windows. Tremendous execution on a 3rd down, getting to the line of scrimmage. Exactly the kind of stuff you'd expect from the winningest quarterback in this program's history.
He is 21-2 in Big Ten games. Set to throw on 2nd down. Simple out. Caught by McGarrett Kings. Wrestled down about 3 yards shy of the first down, though, as Troy Apke came up and made the stop. So here's a chance for Penn State's defense on 3rd down.
Well, if the folks in Columbus hope for a gift today, it's going to be 2 things, I think. It's going to be takeaways defensively. Penn State cannot win this game today if it's even or they lose a turnover battle. It just won't happen. And they've got to get off the field on this down. They've got to find a way on 3rd down to get the Big Ten's best team in this situation off the field.
Cook, pitch and catch with his best target this season, Aaron Burbridge. So it's a 3rd down conversion. And tonight on Saturday Night Football, presented by Walmart at 8 Eastern on ABC, it is Bedlam. The Sooners can clinch the Big 12 championship with a win over Oklahoma State. That game also streaming live on Watch ESPN, part of the rivalry series presented by Jiffy Lube.
Going to be nasty there tonight for Baker Mayfield and crew. We're talking freezing rain, horrible weather, very different than what we've got today on just a crisp, beautiful fall afternoon in East Lansing.
L.J. Scott again. Tripped up after a gain of 3 by Troy Reeder. Cook to the outside, incomplete. That sets up a big 3rd down and 7 after we check in with Adnan. All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake, as Michigan State, with a win, gets to the Big Ten championship game. 3rd down and 7. 4-man rush again. Maybe a delayed blitz. Connor Cook has all day, throws it over the middle, and it is broken up by Grant Haley. Intended for McGarrett Kings. So that is a 3rd down stop for Penn State. They could get good field position.
And I would expect to see most of the afternoon in these 3rd and medium situations, a lot of man-to-man coverage. Bob Shoop felt like defensive coordinator. There wasn't anybody that was going to run away from them. And in fact, in zone is where they got beat for the touchdown. And watch that, because takeaways can come. If you've got tight coverage, as Haley did there, you have a chance to beat that receiver to the ball and make a play. But more importantly, you get off the field on 3rd down.
That's Greg Garrity back to receive the punt. DeAndre Tompkins, redshirt freshman, had a big muff down inside the 10-yard line last week against Michigan. So replaced by Garrity this week. And Garrity gets cut down at the 36. 44-yard punt, a 1-yard return. Penn State, it's their ball when we come back. They'd win more games than any group has ever won for a program that is winning at a level they never did before with Mark D'Antonio.
They're doing so pretty quietly on a national level, where Urban Meyer and Ohio State obviously gets a lot of credit with the national title, but a lot of wins here from Mark D'Antonio.
Jet sweep, turn in the corner. The freshman Brandon Polk, he gets loose. He's got another gear. Gets bumped out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. Already chunk plays this week from Penn State that we never saw against this defense last week with Ohio State.
Well, this is a nice asset that Penn State has. This is what Nebraska did. When you're playing a team that is so active with their safeties as Michigan State is, you have to change their eyes. If you just line up and try to run right at them, you're going to really struggle. But you start to move them horizontally. You get them a half step slow. They've got to react and handle the whole field horizontally. You've got a chance. And Polk's got the speed to do so.
Middle street, Saquon Barkley is met by Riley Bulla. Riley Bulla has done a little bit of everything since coming in his family's footsteps. It's like the first family of Michigan State football.
3rd generation, and that was going to be a big play. If Riley does not beat the block there of the center man, Giro, there is space and serious green grass for Barkley. That's well done by the psycho, in appropriate terms, from his defensive coordinator. The guy that's just a little bit off his rocker, not off on that tackle.
No gain on 1st down. Hackenberg, pocket starts to collapse, spins and keeps the play alive. Dives inside the 35 and picks up 6.5. Eventually brought down by Riley Bulla, but Christian Hackenberg making a play.
He can do this. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, and I really challenged James Franklin. I said, why doesn't Christian run more? As beat up as he's been, as many times as he's been sacked, and he's athletic. I mean, he's a 4'7" guy, and James said just not in his nature to do, and I'm loving this here in the 1st quarter. He's got nothing to lose. Cut it loose, and he is big and strong and fast and more than capable at this level of making positive plays with his legs.
Might be 4-down territory, 3rd and 3. Hackenberg outside, incomplete. Now what do you do? It's a long field goal to try with Tyler Davis, who has not made one from outside of 28 yards this season. And you know what? Why not? On the road to close out a Big Ten schedule, go for it. That's just what Penn State will do. Play clock winding down. Hackenberg getting set. Akeel Lynch to his left. Bullet pass is caught. Chris Godwin has the 1st down. It's a 4th down conversion, a gain of 8 just inside the 25.
It can be refreshing to get out on the road, away from 107,000 people that have always expected more out of you. Christian Hackenberg is playing some of the best football. His best 15 minutes I've seen him. The one interception was a critical error. He's got to read the coverage. Outside of that, he's running. He's throwing the ball accurately. He's playing with some confidence that you have not seen. I think this offense and this offensive line is feeling it.
Play action again. Wide open Deshaun Hamilton. Picks up 5 as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, remember yesterday, offensive coordinator for Penn State told us this offensive line has got to show up for Christian Hackenberg. We've got to get him some protection. You've said it many times, Brock, get him in a rhythm. There was some fire on that bench from this offensive line. Angelo Mangiro, he raised his voice. He said, guys, we got this. Herb Hand, offensive coordinator, telling his guys, we just have to finish. The efficiency is great. Just finish the drive.
They've protected him well so far against a lethal front four. Saquon Barkley to the 15, dragging a tackler inside the 10. Look at the freshman go. First and goal for Penn State at the 5.
No cheers in this stadium. Cheers around Columbus on plays like this and a drive like this. This is yards after contact. That's what he's got to do. And really a zone read, which you don't see Penn State incorporate much either. But this kid is a difference maker. Best freshman in college football as far as total rushing. His chance to go over 1,000 today. I don't know how they build freshmen like this right out of high school that are 220 plus pounds with that kind of strength.
5 seconds to go in the quarter. And it looks like the clock might expire. That's what Christian Hackenberg is going to allow to happen. So rather than rush the play from inside the 5, Hackenberg gets a chance to talk things over as Penn State will try and take the lead when we come back. Ohio State. And it's the Nittany Lions knocking on the door. First and goal at the 4 to try and take the lead. Polk in motion. Instead it's Barkley. Inside the 2. It'll be second down and goal.
But he's falling forward. And this didn't happen last week, as you referenced there, statistically speaking, and just your eye test. I mean, Michigan State dominated every double team. They dominated the point of attack. They were screaming downhill. And right now, this Penn State offense, the quarterback's infused that O-line with a little bit of confidence. And Barkley, I think, is a freshman excited to show that he can play with the big boys.
Play action. Hackenberg rolling into the end zone, incomplete through the hands of Adam Brenneman. A seldom used tight end. Mike Gesicki out with a knee injury. He would be the best pass catching tight end, maybe down near the goal line. It'll be third and goal.
You can see that inside pressure. Michigan State loves to do that time rescue from inside, but what a critical third down. This is the area where Penn State bogged down a week ago against Michigan. So imperative on the road to find a way to get 7. Quite honestly, maybe 4 down territory here very early.
They spread things out. Man coverage out on the edge. Where does Hackenberg go? Slants one in the end zone. Way too hot to handle for Godwin. Monte Nicholson stayed with Chris Godwin. And now it's 4th down and goal from just outside the 1. Here comes Tyler Davis to try and get Penn State on the board.
You know, Bob, a week ago it was 3 straight runs from the 8-yard line. 3 straight runs that netted nothing there. Unfortunately, that time you run on first down, you gain 3, and you don't give Barkley a chance to really get going forward. You stand 1 pass out of 2, but boy, we'd really like to see them try to pound and run it as they had some success here in the first 15-plus minutes.
That's their 40th trip into the red zone this season. 21 touchdowns in those 40 trips. Play clock winding down. Only 19-yard attempt. It goes to 0. They allow the snap. And Davis is able to put it through. So Tyler Davis stays perfect. He is now 7 for 7 this season. Penn State on the board.
Really a treat and a joy to watch play the game. Such a difference maker, the hardest worker as well down in Tallahassee, closer to 100%. It's going to be a real good one tonight.
Short kick to the 15-yard line to Delton Williams. Wonder about the strategy there for Penn State. It's like giving up the 30 for free, and that's where Michigan State will start offensively after we check in again with Adnan. The weather is perfect here, Adnan. We are not jealous at all of anyone that's in the California sunshine. This is football weather. It feels like a Big Ten game on Thanksgiving weekend. Michigan State running it with Delton Williams. So now we've seen Gerald Holmes. We've seen L.J. Scott. Delton Williams moves the pile for 6. Parker Cothran was there to make the stop for Penn State. It'll be 2nd down and a long 4. Wildcat formation as Connor Cook lines up as a receiver to the top of your screen. Direct snap, and it works to perfection. Getting to the edge is Aaron Burbridge, and he picks up the 1st down. You get numbers with that matchup out of the Wildcat, and Penn State didn't have enough bodies committed to the right side of their defense.
Well, and as much as you can make these guys on the perimeter tackle, that's going to be an advantage for you. I mean, Penn State has shown they can play some pretty good coverage, but their corners, their perimeter people consistently tackling an issue.
Cook fumbles the ball as he went back with Austin Johnson. Quick looking for that loose ball, and it is a free 5 yards for the Penn State defense on the muff. It'll be 2nd and 15.
He just bumps into, you can see Paul Lang, the redshirt senior tight end. Very versatile kid, can play some H-back, can be that end of the line tight end, even at fullback there, and he just bumps into Lang. A costly 5 yards.
Penn State's defense is number 3 in FBS, averaging 8.8 tackles for loss, so you don't want to give them any freebies. They just did. 2nd and 15. This time Penn State brings a blitz. It is picked up, floating it into no man's land, though, was Cook over the head of R.J. Shelton. And now it's 3rd down and 15.
That was one of the first real misses there, and I don't think that has anything to do whatsoever with the shoulder. He knows that's a cover 3 little zone blitz there. D'Antonio knows it as well. Both these teams know each other pretty well. There's going to be nothing schematically that's going to be the difference today. It's going to be some of the attention to detail. And that time Connor just misfired, and here comes that challenge situation for Penn State. 3rd and 15. Everything says zone. They're not as good a zone cover team as they are man.
Well, these are spots today to have a chance where Penn State has to get off the field on defense. And Cook floats it over the middle, and they will get off the field. Burbridge fights his way to about the 49-yard line, but John Reed with a sure tackle. And it will be 4th down, and that negative play, the muff by Connor Cook, comes back to haunt Michigan State.
That's exactly right. And Connor Cook and his offensive staff are going to figure out pretty quickly, and that's Dave Warner up in the booth, that you're going to see a lot of man. That I think Penn State is going to play with some of that reckless abandon, some of that you've got nothing to lose attitude, even on 3rd and 15, to bring pressure and play man. They're going to have to find a real plan on 3rd down, and they're good at that. But expect to see Penn State aggressive, I think, on both sides of the ball this afternoon.
Jake Hartbarger will try and pin Penn State deep. Garrity calls for a fair catch at the 12. Penn State with the football back once again. Another 3rd down stop for the Nittany Lions. Win last week over Ohio State, stand up. All it will take is a home win over Penn State to get to the Big Ten championship game. A date with Iowa that is a de facto playoff game next week, should it happen. But Penn State getting back-to-back stops defensively. A low-scoring game, and they start at their own 12. Barkley with a cutback. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart upstairs. Shannon Spake is with us as well, and it will be 2nd down and 7.
Everybody played Turkey Bowl over the weekend. You know the deal. 1 Mississippi, 2. Now get the ball out of your hand. 1 Mississippi, 2. Now get the ball out of your hand. 1.5 seconds, 1.5 seconds. Even this one, you can't even get to 2 Mississippi. Christian Hackenberg is in rhythm. He's getting the ball out of his hand, and I think, honestly, it is infusing the rest of the people on this offense with some confidence we've not seen against good competition.
That's helping neutralize those pass rushers. A rollout here. He gets a block. Has some time to extend the play and throws it away. Smart play by Christian Hackenberg. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, Bob, I don't know how I follow up the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, but here I go. We talked to, obviously, the defensive coordinator for the Spartans yesterday. He said, we need to be violent. We need to come out here. We can't just do our jobs. We have to play angry. Now, just saw Mark D'Antonio come over talking to this defense, specifically to Shalik Calhoun and Monte Nicholson. Obviously, Penn State's been able to create some offense. They want to stop it.
What can they create on 3rd down and 7?
Well, here comes their funky blitzes, I will tell you that, and you better identify, as Christian Hackenberg is trying to do here.
Play clock at 3. It is a blitz. Hackenberg under pressure, and he goes down at the 5-yard line. Malik McDowell got there first for the Spartans.
Any 3rd down passing situation, you know you're going to get pressure. So what do you have to do? You've got to find an answer and get the ball out. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. There you go. The ball's got to be out. You have got to find a way to avoid the negative plays. Did such a wonderful job as a system early, and you can see that whole conversation is about identifying the front in the blitz. But Christian has got to make them better by just throwing it out of bounds, as he did on 2nd down, as frustrating as that may be.
Pasquarello now will try and avoid a big change in field position and a line drive kick that goes over the head of Kings. He gets to the Penn State 48-yard line. So it's a field goal lead, at least so far, for Michigan State. Again, Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake here. This is a Michigan State team, too, we noted it, that is so good in these situations. You always wonder about an emotional letdown after the win they were able to pull off last week at the Horseshoe. 6 times they have been able to win against top 10 competition. Every time they win against top 10 competition, they follow that up with a win.
Tremendous maturity. And they don't count on true freshmen. Look at their roster. It's redshirt juniors, it's redshirt seniors, it's 12 senior starters. It's really establishing that culture of handling success and adversity equally well.
Gerald Holmes for a couple. Check that Burbridge.
I'll tell you what is as impressive as anything to me as you take a look at Connor Cook is his buddy, Tyler O'Connor, redshirt junior. Most redshirt juniors that don't play quarterback around college football, especially highly touted ones, they quit. They leave the program. They don't want to be a part of it. Delton Williams had a kickoff return earlier. It was kicked off this team. He's a walk-on right now. He's paying his own way to be a part of it. Most of those guys transfer and leave. They don't do that in this program.
Cook swings a screen to Holmes. He's down the sideline. Gerald Holmes dragging tacklers to the 23. 24-yard gain on a simple little swing pass to the sophomore from Flint.
A simple little swing pass, but there's attention to detail. There's wonderful execution. Because the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you're able to go downfield and block the safety. This is Marcus Allen. This is his guy. It looks like a screen pass. Looks like a busted coverage. No, it's not. You were going down there because of the backwards pass thrown behind the line and able to block and get your guy and set your buddy up for success.
Burbridge in motion, trying to draw the attention of those linebackers. That frees up some space up the middle. On the dive by Holmes, Kabinda made the stop. Let's check in with that net. Adnan, we've got a 3-point lead for Michigan State, looking to add to it. A little delayed handoff, and that frees up Gerald Holmes. He's inside the 10. 1st and goal, Spartans. John Reed eventually made the tackle.
Good technique by everybody. Good technique up front. You can see Connor Cook right there, eyes down the field, and that freezes the weak side linebacker, Troy Reeder, just enough. Gerald Holmes, not a blazer. I mean, he's not a 4-4 guy. But once again, it is that attention to detail to your fundamentals. Everybody doing their job well. And Holmes gaining confidence, playing faster and faster each and every week.
Now the Penn State defense has to do what the Spartan defense just did, hold to a field goal. Holmes, gang tackled. He got to the 6. Malik Golden got there first. red zone defense could be the difference in this game. Can you make them kick threes rather than score sevens? The Penn State defense this season has been last in the Big Ten in red zone defense. They have allowed 21 touchdowns on 30 opponent red zone opportunities.
Watch those perimeter throws. The poor tackling on the outside, a big contributor to that stat.
They show blitz. Finding a lane, breaking a tackle, into the end zone is Gerald Holmes. Michigan State extends their lead.
You'll hear all the time people say, throw into the blitz. And you get a blitzer there, throw into it. Well, you know what? There's huge advantage when you run away from it. And that's exactly what Michigan State is able to do. You're going to see the blitz to the strong side. Call that a Sam Mike blitz, little fire zone. And if you can run it, and that looked like it was a call that just beat that blitz, you were running your strength against their weakness, and the Spartans take advantage.
The difference between a team that's playing for a playoff spot and a team that's 7-4, you drive to their 2-yard line, you kick a field goals. They would be headed to a date with Iowa next week in the title game. If somehow Penn State comes from behind and pulls off what would be a pretty significant upset, and in spite of their loss last week, Ohio State would be going to the Big Ten championship game, and misjudging that kick was Koa Farmer. Tried to field it on the run inside the 10 and let it bounce in the end zone. We've got a college football Saturday with one game on the big screen, another on your computer, maybe one on your tablet or your smartphone as well. Follow all the games on Watch ESPN. Just download the app or go to watchespn.com.
And you got that sweet minivan for us to ride to the airport tonight. How many different games can we get on Watch ESPN tonight? 6 phones? Well, 1 driver, 5 phones, 5 different games.
Was I supposed to get a Camaro?
No, I'm glad you rocked the minivan.
That's my comfort zone. I live in a minivan. Huge drive here, you would think, before halftime. With 7:12 to go for Penn State. Strong run to start it by Saquon Barkley as he picks up close to 8. And that's a big loss at fullback for the Michigan State offense. Catching a touchdown pass last week was Trevin Pendleton, but what looks to be a pretty significant injury. He was being carried off the field as we speak. Michigan State won the toss and deferred their option to the second half. So they'll start the third quarter with the ball, which you'd think makes this an even more crucial possession before halftime for Penn State. And Barkley has a first down. Wrestled down by Shalik Calhoun, but not before he moves the chains.
This kid's running hard. That's why I wanted to see at least one more carry when they got it down into that red zone. With the first down run, 3 yards to the 1-yard line, back-to-back passes. He's been battling a high ankle sprain. He's gotten healthier and healthier. Unlike a lot of his buddies on this team that are so beat up, he's got those freshman legs, and no freshman better running the ball this season than Saquon Barkley.
Barkley late to get a line, but there's still 13 on the play clock. 5 wide, an empty look. Hackenberg to Godwin. Close to 7. Demetrius Cox made the stop. Time for our Aflac trivia question. Who was the first player to win the Heisman?
Trick question.
It is a trick question. Our producer Jim Zaroli has an evil streak. He's sneaky mean, and he just likes to needle the audience if he can. This question does it. 2nd down and 4. Hackenberg backpedaling. He's in trouble. That's a huge loss and a mistake by the Penn State quarterback. Lawrence Thomas, Damon Knox combine on a sack that costs the Nittany Lions 14 yards.
We were looking yesterday, Bob, at the technique of these defensive linemen. It really doesn't matter who it is. Every one of them does such a phenomenal job with their hands. They win. They win right off the jump, not just with their quickness. And Ron Burton, defensive line coach, Air Force Academy for over a decade, he is a technician. They are so detail-oriented. They don't just live off their athleticism. They beat you with their fundamentals, as they did right there, overwhelming that Penn State O-line.
Hackenberg throws that ball away. It's 3rd and 4. Instead, it's 3rd and 18, and now it will be 3rd down and 23. The play clock runs all the way down.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
And that look right there is one that we have felt in 3 different meetings with James Franklin this year. Our 3rd opportunity to see Penn State this year. And he knows that they are not that far off. They need some help and some pieces up front. And you've even seen in the first 16 minutes of this game, being able to get off the field and manage some situations, but just can't get over the hump and do it consistently enough.
Barkley up the middle, trying to get what he can, and gets to the edge. Out of the run by Saquon Barkley. Did he stretch the ball out and get a 1st down? He's a yard shy. He needed 23 on 3rd down. He got 22. Now it's 4th down and 1. They're going to go for it. Barkley. He's got the 1st down. How about that? 2 runs to Saquon Barkley, and from 3rd down and a mile to a 1st down near midfield.
Well, I think that sums it up pretty well. The point we just made before that is they've got enough talent in spots. They've got enough talent on their defensive line. They've got enough talent. Saquon Barkley is an incredibly gifted kid. You just have to do it every single down. You can't have any lapses in concentration against elite teams.
Deshaun Hamilton wide open. He's got a 1st down and more. Down to the 32-yard line. Brock, not to overemphasize what just happened, because you don't know how many points Penn State will ultimately get out of this drive. But if they're punting back to Michigan State with plenty of time before halftime, and Michigan State starts the 3rd quarter with the ball, that 3rd and 4th down sequence there might have saved the game, or any chance that Penn State has in it.
Bob, it was 3rd and 20 plus. They're just handing off to get off the field, to not get sacked or turn it over. And Saquon Barkley says, I'm going to take this down over.
Now they line up in a tighter look, and it's play action. Hackenberg under pressure, throws one up the seam. Incomplete. He threw that one off his back foot. Monte Nicholson cut underneath Brent Wilkerson and had a chance at a pick.
He sure did, and this ball's got to just go underneath. That's the decision that you've got to make, and you have seen Christian do it, and you can see right underneath there in your frame is Adam Brenneman. He's wide open. There's nobody within 8 yards of him in that flat. And that's a decision on 1st down. You just don't have to take that kind of risk. 13-3 game, putting together a nice drive. Just find your completions.
5 wide on 2nd down and 10. Play clock down to 8. Blitz coming. Hackenberg beats it. Losing the football, though. Demetrius Cox picks it up. He's down the sideline. Cox might go. Touchdown. Carter caught it.
Result of the play is a touchdown.
He coughed it up.
We have a sideline warning on the Michigan State bench. There's no yardage penalty for that.
Riley Bulla forced it out. The question is, was that a full completion of the process of the catch by Kyle Carter before Bulla knocked it free?
Yeah, I'm going to guess you're going to have to slow this down. Replays, get an opportunity to take a look at this right now. In the NFL, that's incomplete. In the NFL, I have seen enough plays to know that that is ruled incomplete. And how about Shalik Calhoun helping his buddies out all the way down the field?
Here comes the point after from Geiger. And replay obviously has confirmed the call on the field. Michigan State adds to their lead. Penn State will get the football back, but now they're down by 17 as the drive short circuits, and it becomes a scoop and score for Demetrius Cox. Lead to 3 scores now for Michigan State.
Gotta have poise. Gotta make sound decisions, and you've got to do it on every single play.
Koa Farmer from the 2. Has a lane, tripped up. Pretty good return though, out to the 32 as we go back to Adnan. All right, Adnan, thanks very much. So still 2.5 minutes to go before we get back to you in the Lexus halftime report. Christian Hackenberg was driving the Nittany Lions before they turned it over. And they start this drive again. Positive yards. Chris Godwin for about 5. Here's our Aflac trivia question answer. Aflac. Who was the first player to win the Heisman Trophy? I'm sure there are people out there saying Jay Berwanger. I know the answer to that.
Sure.
No.
No.
1935, it was the Downtown Athletic Club Trophy. It was named after John Heisman in 1936. Flag down. And going down again is Christian Hackenberg. That's why it's a trick question, and that's why people don't like our producer. Malik McDowell got in the backfield again. Mark D'Antonio will take the penalty, it looks like.
Look, a big fella in the middle. This guy pops on tape every single game you watch. That's Malik McDowell. He's the most gifted Spartan player there is. He's 6'6", he's 275, and there's just not many humans at that size that can do what he just did right there. He owns you. He uses those long arms. You know, I talked about earlier with Calhoun on his sack and the ability to get their hands on their opponent first. And then he's got just incredible leverage for a man his size to play tackle. You know, 6'6", 270, you see a lot of ends. You just don't see guys able to play inside because they can't get their pads down, they can't play low enough, and they certainly can't play nearly as explosive as this kid.
He's a true sophomore, so he's coming back to play at Michigan State again next season. And you think he might be a more sought-after prospect than even a Leonard Fournette?
As far as a commodity of what he can do, yeah, he's a difference maker.
Simple slant to Geno Lewis to the 31-yard line.
And he makes this group go. I mean, talking yesterday to co-D coordinator Mike Tressel, and he's not coached any like him. And he's one of those, unlike many 2-star, 3-star guys, he's a 5-star guy, big-time guy. And as he goes, so often this Spartan defense goes as well.
So Malik McDowell will be coming after Christian Hackenberg, who now has to get a conversion on 3rd down and 12 to make any sense of the timeout that Penn State just called. Because if Penn State fails to convert on 3rd and 12, they'll give the ball back to Michigan State with 40 extra seconds on the clock, or without forcing Michigan State to have called a timeout. This is a big play here. The wide receiver hitch, caught by Godwin. And it looks like he is going to muscle his way for the 1st down. So now the timeout that was called by Penn State becomes an excellent call because they still have 2 timeouts, and they're trying to get points before halftime.
Well, we've seen this with Barkley. You see it with Godwin now. You see tremendous effort from these Nittany Lions. Wonderful block out in front as well, and they know where those sticks are, and he's running right through the tackle there of Demetrius Cox, much like his buddy Barkley did on the previous 3rd and long on the former series.
The blitz comes, and Brent Wilkerson reaches back and makes a 9-yard catch. And now it looks like another timeout will be called by Penn State to save seconds here. 1:16 to go before halftime.
Somewhere in Columbus, folks are saying, where was this a week ago? Where was the ability to push the ball and challenge down the field? Where was the ability to break tackles? Now, 30-mile-an-hour winds and sideways rain had a lot to do with that last week, but you're seeing Penn State, and James Franklin's got to be proud of his offensive effort. They just can't do it consistently enough.
Well, think about the 2 big turning points in this first half. You get down inside the 2-yard line, you can't get 7. And the last drive for Penn State, they're moving the football, and all of a sudden it turns into 7 going the other way on a scoop and score.
And this is why you're 7-5 and the other team's looking 11-1. And this is your year 2 in your program, looking across the sidelines at Mark D'Antonio in year number 9, who has had and built recruiting classes and built their players through the weight room to be so sound, to have the focus on every single snap to do their job and do it well.
5 straight completions for Christian Hackenberg, now down to 1 timeout. Saquon Barkley, first down and more. Gets outside, he's got a blocker, and steps out of bounds to preserve some time at the 25-yard line.
This kid's good. I mean, he's really good, and he's going to challenge, all the freshman records here at Penn State, and he's already got a couple of them. But DJ Dozier, the only guy in the history of this proud program as a true freshman to come anywhere near the production of Barkley. And I love more than anything the yards after contact. That first guy is not bringing down Saquon this afternoon.
We saw a shot of Tyler Davis. That is the last player that anyone rooting for Penn State wants to see on the field, because that means they're settling. They have to have 7 before halftime. Deshaun Hamilton inside the 15. Out of bounds at the 14-yard line with 11 yards and another Penn State first down.
Enjoyed James Franklin yesterday. They've studied this defense a lot, and Pat Narduzzi runs it and puts on clinics around the country. And the one vulnerability is out on the perimeter. And earlier you saw them take a shot, an interception on the go route in the end zone. And he's doing a wonderful job, and John Donovan, his OC, has been under fire this season. But they are attacking this defense exactly the way you have to, getting the ball out of your hand and making them tackle on the perimeter and not messing with those big bad boys in the middle.
But now they're down in that confined area in the red zone. Timeout called by James Franklin, and that is one that hurts. As the play clock was winding down, and Penn State has to call their final timeout with the clock stopped. And James Franklin, he was furious that he had to run down the sideline and call that timeout.
Yeah, he's covering his mouth up for a reason, and he's letting that offensive staff know some of that. These guys are executing the plan pretty darn well. And burning timeouts and not giving them a chance for success, inexcusable in that situation, and he knows it.
Week 12, Monday Night Football. Not much love lost between these teams or fan bases. The Ravens and the Browns, 8:15 on ESPN. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
No Joe Flacco and no Johnny Manziel anytime soon. Speaking of the attention to detail and not understanding what it takes.
So now Penn State is out of timeouts. You have to think in terms of a play-calling sequence here. Having that timeout would have been so valuable. No timeouts might limit some of what they're able to call. Deshaun Hamilton makes a move inside the 5, down to about the 3-yard line.
But getting that first down will stop the clock. I mean, that is the one advantage that you had in this situation, and you don't have to panic right now with 56 seconds. And poor tackling again on the perimeter, that time Demetrius Cox.
Penn State gets the play off. No, a timeout was called. Mark D'Antonio was about 8 yards out in the field trying to
Charge
get a timeout called.
Michigan State, they're first. This will be a Timeout.
And he had it recognized literally as Penn State was snapping the football and getting a chunk play there and getting down to the 3-yard line with 48 seconds to go. Brock, even action instead, and now flags fly.
False start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And boy, that changes things because now you're back to the 8-yard line.
Yeah, and that's your right guard. The lone guy that's played every game in that spot this season, that's Brian Gaia. Actually, I think it's his buddy next to him. They called Gaia on that, could call either one of them. But eventually you are what you are. You're 50% in the red zone kind of team, and against better competition, you've been worse than that this season. If you've got any chance here going into halftime, as you've said numerous times down here inside the 20, you got to get sevens.
Here comes the blitz. Slant. Dropped. Godwin had inside leverage on Colhoun, but couldn't hold on. Second down and goal coming from the 8.
And you're 50% for a couple reasons this year. Number one, you've struggled on your offensive line to have any consistency to run it. Number two, and that's an excellent throw once again to Godwin. Number two, who is your one-on-one difference maker? Don't have it at tight end, which is so valuable inside the 20. And while Hamilton and Godwin are very solid, they're not necessarily against elite competition guys that separate themselves and win those situations just like that one-on-one ball.
Now it's a fade to the pylon that has no chance to find Geno Lewis. Now it's third down and goal at the 8.
False start, drop slant route. You're right, there was nothing that Geno did to get on top of the corner at all.
You could run the ball here if you're committed to 2 snaps because you feel like you have to have a touchdown. You've got 40 seconds.
8-yard line makes it awfully tough. Again, why that first down false start, such a critical error.
I guess if you're committed to running 2 plays here, this could be a run play. Play clock down to 6. Hackenberg, he's going to look end zone, floats it in the end zone, and getting separation is Godwin for the touchdown. Exactly what Penn State had to have.
And he did it schematically. If you can't do it running fades or slants, then make sure you get into a situation where you give you guys an opportunity. Expecting pressure, they get 6-man, you got guy free, but it's still a one-on-one, and you see the stumbling and bumbling in the back there by Nicholson. That was well schemed, well executed, and exactly what the doctor ordered for Penn State going into halftime.
With Michigan State starting the third quarter with the ball. Penn State this time gets down in the red zone and gets 7. And now the lead is down to 10. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake here at Spartan Stadium. Godwin with his 4th touchdown reception this season. And in spite of the fact that right now Michigan State is doubling up Penn State on the scoreboard, the Nittany Lions have done a lot of good things here in the first half, maybe unexpectedly on the offensive side of the ball.
You asked me, right at kick, we're in that first drive with Hackenberg. Can he throw it 30 times today and they win? And I said to you, absolutely not. Not with the challenges they've had up front, challenges to get explosive plays on the outside, but when you do it with his efficiency today, 17 to 27, nearly 200 yards, touchdown and interception. I mean, this has been as good as Hackenberg has been against elite competition. And he's looking at one of the best in this conference defensively. Sometimes great advantage, Bob, to getting out of your building and playing in someone else's place, especially when all the pressure in the world is on them and you have the ability to just cut it loose and go play. Something we've not seen very much from Christian at home.
Chris Gula can't kick it very deep, takes a hop down to R.J. Shelton. And this time Penn State does a pretty good job of bottling him up at the 24-yard line with 30 seconds to go before halftime. And Christian Hackenberg, he is already #1 in Penn State history in attempts, completions, yards. Now he is by himself #1 in touchdown passes as he moves past Matt McGloin with his 47th.
I saw him put up some bigger numbers earlier this season against much lesser competition. Staring down a team with everything on the line in a group that dominated Ohio State. I mean, absolutely crushed their offense a week ago. He watched that tape, and he's come in here today, and he's played the best 30 minutes against good competition I've seen him play this season.
Michigan State lines up to go empty. They've got a couple of timeouts. Here's Connor Cook over the middle. Low throw, and it's incomplete. Aaron Burbridge couldn't scoop it. So it will be 2nd down and 10. Shows a lot of confidence in your senior quarterback. Most teams, you would think at this point, the opposition out of timeouts, you're starting the 3rd quarter with the football, that you might just put it in the freezer and take your 10-point lead into halftime. But clearly Mark D'Antonio doesn't think Connor Cook is any danger to turn the ball over. He's got him throwing with minimal time on the clock. And well protected again. Dumps one off to Delton Williams. And Mark D'Antonio will call a timeout from the sideline. And they're going to let the clock wind down maybe a bit too far. They may have to put a few seconds back up on the clock. They'll add 3 seconds back on the clock and put it up to 18 before 3rd down. Here's the throw on 1st down.
Yep. And he's not 100%. Now, it took him a long time to get loose. He was out early and pre-warm-ups, and he was really trying to run around, get the blood flowing, and then even in warm-ups while working with the ones throughout, it was change-ups early before he was able to really put any steam on it. It's going to do nothing but get colder tonight. He's been on the sidelines, remember, for some time after the defense scored the touchdown. Just watch Penn State go up and down the field, and staying warm, staying loose, going to be a big part of this 2nd half for Connor.
Only Kevin Hogan has more wins as a starter among active quarterbacks in FBS. Connor Cook 32-4, 1 win behind Hogan. And now they'll run it. That'll stop the clock on the 1st down carry by Delton Williams. Driven back once he gets to the 38-yard line. Michigan State still has 1 timeout, so maybe time to get lined up, take a shot down the field, and stop the clock for a field goal attempt. Down to 5 seconds to go. Cook to the sideline. Low throw. It's caught by Josiah Price. Reaches to midfield. 1 second. And it looks as if they may have gotten the clock stopped with 1 second before it went to zeros. Penn State's leaving the field. They think it's halftime. And the officials say not so fast.
Please reset the game clock to 1 second. Charge timeout, Michigan State, their 3rd and final timeout.
Well, not a spot where you can kick a field goal. Who plays quarterback for Michigan State on a Hail Mary attempt?
Well, you want to test the strength of your shoulder right now. You throw a Hail Mary about 60 yards down the field, and there's a look at Tyler O'Connor, and Damian Terry as well has got tremendous arm strength. Both of those guys played a week ago. But looks like Connor's going to get this shot.
Is this something you would want your quarterback with a shoulder injury to do?
Well, there you go.
Well, there's your answer. So Tyler O'Connor, it looks like, is going to come in maybe for 1 play. And it's a smart move, isn't it, to not put the extra stress?
Well, not only that, but
what
typically happens on Hail Marys? Your quarterback often gets drilled.
Right.
So
it's true.
Hey, Tyler, go for it, buddy.
So here's the junior. 4th-year redshirt junior in the program coming out to buy some time. He'll try and hoist it the distance if he can. Lost the football. That will end the half, as Tyler O'Connor is not even able to attempt a Hail Mary. So Michigan State will start the 3rd quarter with the football, but they have to tighten things up a little bit defensively in the 2nd half.
A lot better, and they know it, and they're going to go in at halftime and clean a lot of that up.
It's time for Adnan Burke, Danny Cannell, and Joey Galloway. They've got the halftime report.
A possession team, and that's going to be a lot of the conversation in their locker room, to tackle better, to get off the field defensively. But give Christian Hackenberg and Penn State credit. I don't think anybody would have thought they'd have this kind of yardage and this much control of that 1st half.
Let's take a look at our AT&T strong performance, and it's the work done not just on the field by the senior Connor Cook, but just the work to get through warm-ups and get that injured shoulder warm enough so that he would be able to come out on senior day, celebrate with his family, and then perform on the field.
Yeah, work in progress to get all the way back, all the hours off the field in the training room, making sure that he would be ready for this. His senior moment was brilliant, 5 of 6 on that opening drive, and then Penn State shifted gears a little bit. It said, Connor, we're not just going to give you that zone coverage for you to pick apart. We're going to get after you with some pressure, going to play a lot of man, a lot of two-man, and I would expect to see some adjustments from that schematically here out of the Spartans in the second half.
Chris Gula forces a fair catch at the 24-yard line as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, this week, defensive coordinator for Penn State, he gave all of his players a Sharpie. And he said this win this weekend, it could be a signature win. It could set the tone for future teams and change the perception of this 2015 team. If they are going to do that, James Franklin told me a few things need to be done. Defensively, they need to have some momentum-changing plays. They need to get turnovers. Offensively, he said if we get the ball and we drive, we have to score. This team is way too good not to score against.
And Bob Shoop, one of the good ones. He does a really excellent job. He's got a lot of moving pieces. No Carl Nassib today. No Garrett Sickles. A lot of beat-up Nittany Lions. But they're giving themselves an opportunity, and that's all you can ask for on the road here into the second half.
And they swarmed to the football at the 25-yard line as Troy Reeder got there first to bring down Gerald Holmes. A gain of maybe a half yard on first down.
Connor Cook, because of that time of possession difference, because of what Christian Hackenberg and the Nittany Lions did, only on the field for 12 minutes there. Really one negative drive with a fumble and in the backfield that he recovered, an overthrow on a deep over route. Otherwise, not a ton of opportunities for he and his offense. Important here to get started out the gate and at least get yourself a first down.
Penn State brings a blitz, and it's batted down at the line. It will be 3rd down and 9. Anthony Zettel was able to get his hand up, deflect the football.
And you just don't see that very often. 33 minutes is the average for the Spartans. #1 in this conference, surpassed Michigan Wolverines last week with what they did against Ohio State. And avoiding these 3rd and extra longs has been a big part of their success this season, of being the top-ranked group on 3rd down in this conference as well. And usually those go hand in hand. You're good on 3rd down, you stay on the field, you win the time of possession battle.
Michigan State was 3 for 5 in the first half on 3rd down, but this is 3rd down and 9. Again, it's a blitz. Cook to the sideline. Walling off his man is Burbridge. That's a true freshman. And John Reed trying to stay with a senior receiver that knows his craft.
And that ball can't be put in a better spot. That is that deep comeback, and Connor Cook has wonderful anticipation. He and Burbridge have done this for 4 years together. As you said, a senior on a freshman finds your matchup. Not surprised to see more pressure from Bob Shoop defensively. They're going to live on that here in the second half. Burbridge been the go-to guy all season long, and that's a huge conversion coming out of halftime.
#1 in the Big Ten in receptions and yards this year for Burbridge. And off to Holmes. Bobbing and weaving his way across the 45 to the 46-yard line for a gain of 7.
I'll tell you, the more that I look at Connor, and maybe it was seeing him in person yesterday for the first time, watching him in warm-ups, take the 1 away off his jersey, and he reminds me so much of a guy that I spent 2 years with in Matt Hasselbeck. Very similar size, just under 6'5", very similar fundamentally. So sound in their technique, good athletes, if not great athletes, but just so much of his composure, his body language in the Wildcat here reminds me so much of the guy that's still playing 16 years into his NFL career.
Burbridge takes the Wildcat snap. Got Gerald Holmes as a lead blocker, but spins for a yard. So now it'll be 3rd down and 2.
That was a really nice play there by Torrance Brown, the redshirt freshman. He keeps that play alive. He strings it out. He never loses leverage and gives his buddies a chance to clean it up.
They go quickly. And unable to move the pile, it looks like, as Holmes, but now a second effort gets him across the line to gain to the 50. Boy, it looked like Penn State had held the point of attack and stopped Gerald Holmes short, but he drives his legs for just enough to move the chains.
Well, they did. I mean, you're going to see him get in this pile here, and that initial push there from Austin Johnson and crew was good enough. It's just there was tremendous patience there and no panic from Gerald Holmes. He doesn't make that run at the beginning of this year. First-year starters, and in fact only started the last 4 games. It was Mondre London that started this season, but his patience has grown as his success has grown, and that should also be no surprise.
They run a little option here, and now Cook will fade back. Wide open. He finds his man at the 30-yard line. It's R.J. Shelton, and that's another Michigan State first down, a gain of 20.
And there again is that zone defense. Can't play man all the time, but Penn State is just simply not good enough in this area defensively. They just get lost too many times. Eyes get caught in the backfield, and Connor takes advantage.
And they're going with some tempo. Cook down the sideline, squeezes it into Burbridge. What a move as he stays on his feet and leaps into the end zone for a touchdown. Are you kidding me?
Well, unlike a game in Lincoln, Nebraska, contact by the defensive back here is going to force Burbridge out of bounds. But he never gives up on the play, and instead, that zone coverage. Marcus Allen has got to make a play on that. It was Marcus's coverage early on the first touchdown pass with the post over the top. He is sitting on top of that go route. He's got to make a better play.
Touchdown. The play is under further review.
There was a big question at the end of Michigan State's loss to Nebraska about whether or not it was contact that forced the receiver out of bounds and whether or not he reestablished himself. That seems to be a question here as well on this reception by Burbridge. Now, the contact was really the question at the end of the Nebraska game. The question here may be whether or not Burbridge was able to reestablish himself in the field of play before he received what turns out to be a remarkable play to get into the end zone and score a touchdown.
They call that cloud coverage. That's quarter, half. A lot of folks call that cover 8. And that cloud corner right there, that pressed corner, John Reed, and you see it. He sticks his arm out and he forces Burbridge out. Unlike, and I'll go back and I'll completely disagree with some of the officials after the fact, unlike that Nebraska game where that receiver made a beeline, not with any cloud or press coverage, made a beeline out of bounds. That's absolutely the right call today, and I think they got it wrong weeks ago.
Well, it looks like they got it right here. As Burbridge, the touchdown is upheld by review. And boy, that was talent. What a remarkable play to take the contact. The balance for Aaron from John Reed, ruled by the officials to have been what caused Burbridge to go out of bounds, which means he can come back in and make a play on the ball. He does, and it's a touchdown.
Correct call. And as you said very well, what tremendous body control and strength by Burbridge to not just make the catch, but to finish for 6.
Koa Farmer, again, a long run to try and track the ball down, so he takes a knee, and it's week 12 in the NFL, and we have you covered for 3 hours leading into the games tomorrow. First, the latest news from around the league on NFL Insiders, Sunday edition. And then on NFL Countdown, Josh Norman, Thomas Davis of the undefeated Panthers will join the crew as guest analysts throughout the show. Sunday NFL Countdown with Josh Norman, Thomas Davis, Boomer and the boys tomorrow at 11 Eastern, following NFL Insiders at 10 on ESPN. So the lead right back to 17 for Michigan State. And it looks like it'll be 1st and 15 to start off this drive for Penn State.
False start, offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that's Andrew Nelson. We've seen a holding call, and that big fella's been beat up this season. Like a lot of these Nittany Lions, is just trying to grind through some injuries. This is a beat-up team emotionally, physically. He started at left tackle today. They flipped him back over to the right side. Paris Palmer tried to give him a little breather. He's also banged up there at left tackle. Having said all that, they gave their quarterback an opportunity, and he helped them in the first half with his execution.
Hackenberg looking for a deep ball down the sideline, but Hamilton never turned back to look for the ball, and it sailed over his head. Darian Hicks was there in coverage.
Well, you add that one to the right-hand column now. 0 for 6 on anything beyond the sticks. And underneath, lots of success. And many of those have been the shotgun, some of the spread variety, and getting the ball out of Christian's hands, which I think was a vital element, and they executed pretty well. A fumble, a pick, the difference of why they've got 10 instead of the 17 or 20 that they could easily have with their productivity in the first half.
Screen out to Hamilton to the 30-yard line. So he picks up 10. It will be 3rd down and 5.
And that was a point of emphasis that Coach D'Antonio made with Shannon coming off the field. It has been that same little bubble screen that has been effective. He wants those linebackers fast flowing. He wants better leverage and much better tackling by that secondary, a bit suspect through the first 30.
On the slant through the hands of Hamilton. He had him. That ball sailed a bit on Hackenberg, and he is angry with himself leaving the field as Hamilton couldn't climb the ladder, but that should have been a pitch and catch first down for Penn State.
Yeah, he knows it. Did a really good job pre-snap. If you could see that. They fake snapped and got Michigan State to declare exactly what they were going to do. He knew exactly the coverage he had. An excellent route. Everything was there. And put that in the column many times with this offense where there are plays and opportunities to be made and they just cannot capitalize.
Pasquarello tries to angle a kick away from. It's returnable. Makes the first man miss, but then is brought down at the 32-yard line. Michigan State with the ball and a 17-point lead.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the
on the air. And all of these guys, of course, spending a good portion of the Thanksgiving weekend away from their families along with us. Hopefully you're having a wonderful holiday weekend. And we've had a terrific season together with this group. Michigan State back to the offense. They've got this game right now in control, and O.J. Scott helps them control the line of scrimmage here for 7 right up the middle. Jason Kabinda made the stop. Again, if Michigan State wins, and it certainly looks like they are well on their way to doing just that, they would not just win, they would earn the Big Ten East after they went to Ohio State last week and pulled off the upset at the Horseshoe, and they would go to the Big Ten championship game against Iowa. I'm sure we've got some friends back in Columbus that are watching our broadcast right now hoping for a miracle, because if Penn State comes from behind, then it would be the Buckeyes that would play in the Big Ten championship game. Scott again to the 40-yard line. Grant Haley cut him down about 1.5 yards shy of the first down.
And I like what you said there. They have earned it. It's not always been pretty this season. They've had their level of adversity. Every one of those big fellas up front this season has also been beat up for Michigan State. But they've endured. They've won tough games. They won at Michigan, at Ohio State without ever leading. You know, coaches talk all the time. You can hear every one of them preach about finish. But this senior-laden group does it. They believe it, and they put themselves in this position here with 1.25 to go, playing for the championship against an Iowa group that is built very similarly.
L.J. Scott again. Looks like he's got the first down. Well, those tough yards after contact, indicative not only of that offensive line, but hard running backs for Michigan State. We've seen it on the last 2 possessions. This time it's L.J. Scott.
Well, you just watch at the point of attack. And that time it's Paul Lang. And I really love what Coach D'Antonio said about that crew. Conklin as well on the double team. It was Lang and Conklin right there. He said, my seniors got to be their best. If our program is going to achieve and you're going to win championships, much like in the pros, your best players have to be and play at their highest level. Well, at this level, that means your redshirt juniors, your seniors, your redshirt seniors, those guys have to have their best seasons. Paul Lang, many guys up front have done just that.
A little extra effort for 2 yards for Delton Williams.
And you know what else you got? And it was an interesting conversation with Dave Warner yesterday, offensive coordinator. They got running back by committee. And that's not always been what they have done here. You think of some of the greats that have played this position and making a lot of dough right now in the NFL for Mark D'Antonio. And I don't think they draw it up and say, wow, we'd really like to split 3 carries or 4 carries, 4 different backs a game. But you're seeing evidence of how hungry every single one of those guys are when they get their opportunity. Legs churning. You know, that's going to be Delton Williams, going to be the 3rd guy to carry the ball today. You got to fight for your reps.
Connor Cook off play action. Throws one down the sideline for Jamal Lyles. And he's got a first down catch. That's a gain of 18.
And you run it 5 straight times, and then guess what happens? You know, you can see all the linebackers. What happened? I mean, look at that. They're 4 yards into their run fits before they realize that tight end sneaks behind them. It's not rocket science. This isn't the most complicated scheme and system in college football. They're going to wear you down. They're going to finish. And Connor Cook, with 36 starts under his belt, has seen everything you're going to throw his way.
Well, watching Michigan State on tape, there doesn't seem to be any position group that you see, that you talk about in terms of anything other than being really well coached. As Williams pounds his way to about the 34, maybe the 33-yard line. And it's a coaching staff that has been together forever. Harlan Barnett, Mark Staten, Mike Tressel, Dave Warner, representing both sides of the football. They've all been with Mark D'Antoni since he was at Cincinnati. And then add in quarterbacks coach Brad Salem in his 6th season on this staff. Wide receivers coach Terrence Samuel in his 5th season on this staff. They don't have guys that go anywhere else until they have an opportunity to go become a head coach of a different program, which has happened obviously with Pat Narduzzi and a few others. L.J. Scott. Another first down at the 26-yard line. Stiff-armed Evan Schwan.
Well, you're seeing some more pressure there, some inside pressure, a zone dropper there in Evan Schwan, a defensive end, and you're looking at your 3rd or 4th defensive end. And Evan's a guy that's giving you everything you got, but there's no Carl Nassib there. There's no Garrett Sickles there. They're beat up on the back end of their defense. They lost an awful lot to graduation last year on this side of the ball. And they had a tough week of practice with so many guys physically beat up just trying to get on the practice field. And right now Michigan State can feel that and feel that championship in their grasp.
This time Penn State does get the tackle for loss as Brandon Bell comes through and eventually is able to bring down L.J. Scott. Madre London began the season as the starter. L.J. Scott, a couple of weeks ago, had 2 fumbles and 2 attempts at Maryland. And what did they do last week in crunch time down at their own 5-yard line when they needed to move the chains and get a first down? They had the true freshman back out there. And, of course, Gerald Holmes got the start today again. It is a talented and balanced group. Scott again. It will be 3rd down and 8 at the 24. Schwan made the tackle.
Yeah, there's one thing that's pretty clear when you come out here, and it kind of references what you were talking about earlier with that staff continuity. And they know who they are. They know every single season exactly what they want to do, who they are. They'll evolve a little bit, and they'll add some concepts, you know, to play to the strength of some of their talent in the different position groups. But they have a real conviction about the way they're going to win games, and they've won at a pretty historic rate around here.
Penn State showing blitz. Here they come with 5, maybe 6, floating it over the middle. On time is Connor Cook to Josiah Price. He beats the blitz on 3rd down, gains 15 in his 1st and goal.
And this is where he's at his best, and I just see Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, the more I watch this guy play, the more I just see of Matt's game being such a quick thinker. In situations just like this, get right back on the line after a big play.
And give it to Scott, weaving his way to about the 5.
There's no panic, ever. Connor does not flinch, even coming back after missing a game. And at times, quite honestly, that can be advantageous. to watch a game from the sidelines. Not that he needed it at 32-4, the immense, record-setting success that he's had. To come back in here, he looks as sharp from the neck up, handling these third downs and these checks as he's always been.
Isn't that emblematic of their entire program under Mark D'Antonio? Don't panic ever.
Don't flinch.
12th play of a drive that's taken about 7 minutes off the clock. Play action. Cook, end zone. Josiah Price, touchdown. The 16th career touchdown catch for Price. No Michigan State tight end has ever caught more.
And James Franklin knows he's looking at a veteran crew. He hopes in the years to come that he's going to build and model a team just like this. Speaking of no flinch, you turn your back to the defense right there. That is not easy to do unless you trust everybody around you. And you know that run game has sucked some of the life and some of the stinger out of that defense. And Josiah doing what he does best, and that's catch touchdowns.
12 plays, 69 yards, 7:04 off the clock. Michigan State 18.5 minutes away from a trip to the Big Ten championship game and a matchup with the Hawkeyes. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, and Shannon Spake in East Lansing. From the 10, it's Koa Farmer. Knife down at about the 23-yard line.
Is this the best team we've seen this year, Bob? Saw Michigan, and they've been hot the last couple weeks. Saw Florida State earlier this season. Got quite a spectrum. But as far as a complete team, what Christian Hackenberg, just right now in the Penn State program, what James Franklin in year 2 doesn't have, where they have position groups of deficiency, there's not one. I guess maybe the secondary for Michigan State without R.J. Williamson and some of the youth that they've had to play, there is not a position group that I would grade as weak anywhere on this team.
Hackenberg looking for the home run to Hamilton, and it's incomplete. Arjun Colhoun was there in coverage. Well, it speaks to what Mark D'Antonio has built. He's just completely remade what the image of this program is. Before he took over, they'd never had an 11-win season before Mark D'Antonio. Well, they're on the verge of doing that 5 times in the last 6 years. They're 23-7 in November, which is when your most pivotal games are, your rivalry games. You know, the games that define your season.
And everybody else loves to play freshmen. A lot of trendy, we'll play all these freshmen. Not here. No, you're going to grow up. You're going to cut entitlement off when you walk in the door, and you're going to work hard.
Screen to Barkley, but he fell. They had it set up as they allowed the rush to come through.
Now, having said all of that, this is their year. I mean, walking out these doors are going to be 12 difference-making senior starters. I mean, this is your time, kind of in that cycle, right? 2010, you go on a great run, and you recruit the Connor Cooks and the Calhouns and a lot of these seniors now. But this is your time. The 70,000 in here know it. These players know it. That you have got to seize this opportunity, and they certainly have today.
That's what they're doing. That's what they did last week at the Shoe. And that's what they're doing right now against Penn State when they know they've got a clinching opportunity. Hackenberg, slant, caught, breaking free is Saeed Blacknall. Can they catch him? Lost the football, it's poked out from behind. Loose inside the 5. Monte Nicholson with an incredible hustle play. Blacknall got it back, and it's 1st and goal inside the 3 for Penn State.
Well, it's attention to detail. I've said it 8 times already today. Riley Bola earlier when he forced that fumble. It's not just one thing to chase him down. An average coach football team, that guy is just going to chase him down and shoestring tackle. Not the case here. You get beat, you don't flinch, and you come back and you punch that ball out. And if it weren't for a very fortuitous bounce, you may recover it.
Timeout called on defense by Michigan State. As Penn State was lining up to go no huddle at the 2-yard line. Looks like Monte Nicholson may have been poked in the left eye.
And he's got some speed. Now, he and Malik McDowell were some big-time recruits because Blacknall may be the fastest Penn State Nittany Lion. And you can see the difference in gears right there. You're looking at probably 4.5 to 4.35 as Nicholson chases him down. And again, there is just no panic. Even in that moment when he's beat, the defense gets beat. And you just don't, in desperation, reach and grab. No, you're taught to get out there and punch that football. That's why you do all those drills and all the work behind the scenes, and what is monotonous practice at times so often can pay dividends on the field.
That's the longest play from scrimmage this season for Penn State. We'll see if it turns into a touchdown, but at least for the moment, the defense still with a chance to get a stop for Michigan State. Monte Nicholson went to Gateway High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And in high school, he was a state champion in the 60 meters, the 110-meter hurdles, and also a member of the 400-meter relay. So that was a track star, and he needed to be to poke the ball out and get a stop. Saquon Barkley brought down before he could even get started. A loss of 4, back to the 6.
Yeah, that play was called meet at the running back. Because there's about 4 Spartans here. They are just pinning their ears back. And on the grade sheet for Saquon, that's an NC. No chance.
Talk about changing the line of scrimmage. That line of scrimmage almost instantly became the 5-yard line. Hackenberg will roll out and throw it away. Third down and goal from just inside the 6.
4 down territory.
Akeel Lynch in a tailback with the play clock down to 2. Boy, again, it takes Penn State so long to get lined up as Hackenberg on the rollout had to get all the way back over to the opposite side of the field, get his team huddled up and get a play called, that they ran out of time. And to avoid a delay of game, they call a timeout. Tonight, Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart, 8 Eastern on ABC. The playoff hopes of Oklahoma rest, you would think, in Bedlam as they take on number 11 Oklahoma State in Stillwater. The Sooners can clinch the Big 12 with a win. It's a game that's also streaming live on Watch ESPN and part of the rivalry series presented by Jiffy Lube.
And that Big 12, not that any conference roots for an individual member, but if Oklahoma stumbles tonight in Bedlam, they're out of the playoffs. Baylor's losses, TCU's losses. I don't think Oklahoma State can climb all the way back up. Big one for the Sooners, Big 12. Big one here for Christian Hackenberg.
Into the end zone, incomplete. Did a flag drop out? There it is. Geno Lewis, the intended receiver. Riley Bulla.
Yeah, that's the right call.
He was dropping back in coverage.
Two-hand shove, and anytime you're going to do that in front of the back judge, you're going to draw the penalty.
Pass interference. Defense number 30. Ball occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
You can read the lips of Mark D'Antonio. He's saying he fell down as if it was not because of contact from Bulla.
Yeah, he'll see the tape, and they'll give you a little contact down there in the red zone, and you can sometimes chuck that receiver or maybe even extend one hand, but you two-hand push the receiver in full view. That's the right call.
So now we're right back to where we started. First and goal at the 2. Saquon Barkley back in the game as the tailback. They'll toss it to him. And now we're right back to where we were on second down. A 4-yard loss. Monte Nicholson comes through. And now Penn State will have to call plays from the 6.
Strange pitch right there, and you hesitate at all, and you've seen edge pressure on every single one of these downs, especially the early downs here in the red zone. And it gets real frustrating.
That is not what a Michigan State fan wants to see, because that is the difference maker on their defensive front. Malik McDowell, the true sophomore, who seems to take on a double team on almost every play and still ends up in the backfield. That's good to see. A player of his talent when he's holding that left knee. It's great to see him get up and able to walk off the field.
Yeah, his quickness is so unique. We talked earlier about a Leonard Fournette. A lot of noise about, well, sit out. Don't play your third year of college. Just go to the pros. As far as a commodity, purely of a guy that that skill set is so rare, I would contend McDowell's is greater than Fournette's. To be 6'6", 275 and what he does to maul double teams, to run up and down the line, to affect the passer, he is going to be, mark my words, in the 2017 draft, a top 10, if not top 5 pick.
Barkley with a flag down. Back to about the 2-yard line. Again, they try some misdirection as they brought Brandon Polk on the jet sweep fake across the ball, and Barkley found some room. We'll have to check the penalty marker. So a shift against Penn State. And now the question for Mark D'Antonio, do you want the 5 yards or do you want to take the down?
Illegal formation, 5 men lined up in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay second down.
So Mark D'Antonio opts to take the penalty and put the ball back at the 10.
It is so demoralizing when you can't run one play in your run game and win. And when you get down here inside the 10, you have to do that. But you see technique, you see Calhoun, you see him put his hands on that tackle, and he leaves that outside arm free for leverage. I just can't say it enough about Ron Burton, the job he does with that group, so fundamentally sound in a position group that is not always the easiest to teach.
Andrew Nelson backed up once he saw movement into the neutral zone.
Offside. Defense number 89. Jumping into the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty, second down.
So back and forth we go. Now it's back at the 5-yard line for second down and goal. Hackenberg dumps it off. Saquon Barkley bottled up. It'll be third and goal.
You can feel it in here. You just feel it. You feel a level of invincibility that you are just, there is nothing in your playbook that you get here when the field condenses that you're going to do. The 70,000 feel it in here. Certainly the 11 guys defensively feel it. Can't run it. Can't screen me. Got enough team speed. We're going to close it down. Mark D'Antonio loving what he's seen in that red zone right now.
15 minutes away from a Big Ten championship game. And the Spartans know it.
Now direct your attention to the north end zone, featuring the 2016 Buick Enclave. Buick, official vehicle of Spartan Athletics. It is time for the Buick Field Goal Challenge.
No, that's skill right there.
We start the fourth quarter with Penn State trying to get 7 and to see if they can do anything to make this a game again. But Michigan State's faithful, knowing it's 15 minutes to a Big Ten East championship and the Big Ten title game. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake, and East Lansing. Third and goal for Christian Hackenberg. Back pylon for Godwin, incomplete. Calhoun there in coverage. A field goal does nothing for Penn State. It's fourth and goal.
You have a matchup you like? I mean, is there one matchup on this field that you really want to get to? Did a beautiful job on the earlier touchdown pass. I'd suggest a little double move because just lining it up and going one-on-one, not good enough. And I'd also suggest getting the ball out of your hand in some rhythm.
Penn State's got to get set. Play clock at 7. Slant to the end zone, low throw, it's on target, and it's a touchdown to Chris Godwin. And Christian Hackenberg is heading over to the sideline, but James Franklin is saying you have to go for 2 to try and make it a 2-possession game.
It's a big-time throw on 4th down. We've seen this from Hackenberg today. Talk about a rhythm when he can single hitch. Right? Watch, single hitch, ball out, put in the position where his guy gets it, nobody gets it. Sailed that earlier on a 3rd down. That time couldn't put it in any better spot, and Godwin finishes. There's your one-on-one. But once again, what do you do schematically? It's not a fade. It's not an outside ball. Let him try to get inside, leverage, run away, and trust your quarterback to put it on him.
The officials making sure that the ball is where James Franklin wants it to be spotted for the 2-point conversion. Blacknall was wide open, and Hackenberg couldn't put it on him. So it's still a 3-score lead for Michigan State with 14:51 to go. But still with 14:51 on the clock. Now Penn State, they seem as if they're going to have a really hard time stopping this Michigan State running attack. Having said that, is it too early to try an onside kick?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the right call. Yeah, you've watched your defense who is beat up beyond belief. You've got backups to backups in critical spots, and Michigan State has had their way with you, and you've got to give yourself an opportunity to compete to win this thing. It's the right call, and looks awfully creative.
There's no disguise here. It's just a straight onside kick. And Riley Bullock, one of the up men, is there to field the charity hop. And so that gives the Spartans the ball at the 44-yard line of Penn State.
How about middle linebacker on the hands team? That's what happens when you played fullback and DN and linebacker and every position in high school. He does the absolute right thing. You don't wait. Doesn't matter what position group you're in, kind of what situation you're in here. These Spartans, veteran guys that played a ton of ball, are not going to panic in that moment. Trust what they've been taught and execute.
In Michigan State's last 25 Big Ten games, they are 23-2, and 17 of those wins by double digits. Play action for Connor Cook. He finds a crosser in Shelton. That's a 1st down to the 28 of Penn State, a gain of 16.
Ooh, and you can see Connor there shaking it out right now. He's sad, threw the touchdown, but an awful lot of run on that last play, and he's not 100%. And he's going to face an Iowa team next Saturday that's going to be much healthier, that I think is deeper and better right now than this Penn State crew. And after that reaction, I won't be surprised here if Mark D'Antonio says upstairs to Dave Warner and Jim Bowman and crew that, hey, let's take the air out of this thing, and I don't need to see Connor throw it down the field much more.
Now it's Gerald Holmes. Tough to bring down. Bobs and weaves for 3. Well, again, this is an offense that last week, when it was throughout the entire game, a 1-score game or tied until the final field goal, they didn't throw the ball in the 3rd quarter once. 0 pass attempts against Ohio State. So they are more than comfortable. As we have an injured player down, that's Donovan Clark, the right guard. This is a Michigan State offense that's more than comfortable to let the quarterback not throw it, avoid getting hit, just hand it off to this stable of running backs.
Yeah, a couple things there, though. That's not been their MO this season, not with Connor. They've been much more 50-50. He's had multiple 300-yard games, 4 of them in a row, in fact. And you also looked last week and saw a J.T. Barrett, Ohio State team that was broken offensively. They weren't going to do anything. So as long as you didn't give them anything, you were going to dominate that game. 30-mile-an-hour wind, sideways rain. I think that led to 51 runs to 16 passes. But to your point, lean on your big boys. your big boys are more than capable, even if Penn State knows you're running it, of still getting to that extra or unaccounted for guy at times with your running back running them over, and that your big guys are going to be locked on.
Yeah,
I mean, all these yards after contact are the same thing. These big boys are just locked on like Velcro, and it gives your running back an opportunity to keep churning.
Play clock down to 5. Connor Cook looks up, realizes it, as a senior will. Play action. He's going to roll out. Burbridge can't make the diving reception. And let's check in with Shannon.
Hey, Bob, you saw Connor Cook working that shoulder out. You know, he was doing that in warm-ups, just trying to keep it loose. He was sitting on the bench. Actually, he was standing on the sideline for 28 minutes, but not in the game. And he did not have one of the parkas on, one of the jackets that a lot of the players have on the sidelines. It's 30 degrees down here on the field. It feels like 25 according to the weather.com. I'm just wondering, what does it feel like up there to you guys? Feel 25 degrees up there to you guys?
It is cold, yeah. We did away with the heaters, Shannon, just for you. We
Just a little bit of sideline reporter bitterness towards the prima donnas in the booth. I get it. 3rd down. Cook, shovel pass. Gerald Holmes. He's got the 1st down. Well, let's see how they nurse Connor Cook, if they do at all, through the rest of this game. And I guess my point earlier was it may have been a different set of circumstances last week as to why they ran the ball almost exclusively in the second half. Rain, wind, and a backup quarterback, but they proved they could do it.
Yep.
They've got their big-time senior franchise quarterback with a bum shoulder. It might be a different set of circumstances, but they proved last week if the circumstances dictate that this offense needs to just run the ball, they can execute, and they can do that.
Yep.
He just keeps on taking the play clock down as deep as possible. The handoff to Holmes. And again, they pick up 5 yards on 1st down, maybe 6.
Well, it's your yards after contact, too. You saw it on the shovel pass. It was 3rd and 6. He catches it at 3 yards. And it doesn't matter if it's Holmes or Scott, if Johnson's in there, Williams in there, they're all the same guy. They're all going to continue to push that pile forward and trust that the Jack Allens and the Donovan Clarks and the Cody Keelers and the Benny McGowans and the Brian Allens and the Jack Conklins that don't get near enough credit and their name not called enough, that have really set the tone in this one as they have down the stretch of this season.
Now it's L.J. Scott to the left of Cook in the shotgun. Scott, 1st down. Jason Kabinda saved a touchdown, but it's 1st and goal of the 6.
You know, and you've watched on the other side this Michigan State D-line as you see this tempo. Always keep an arm free. But they're getting their hands on first, and they're the ones with the punch. They're the ones that are striking first and creating no lanes. And conversely, Michigan State is the ones right now leaning into Austin Johnson and Terrell Barney and Evan Schwan and some of these guys defensively that are taking the brunt of that force first. And that's typically who wins on the line of scrimmage.
The true freshman L.J. Scott got 9 rushing touchdowns this season, the lone setback. He takes the handoff. He uses the stiff arm, and he walks into the end zone with another Spartan touchdown.
Be a good one next week. Iowa, Michigan State's going to be 2 really sound teams that love to battle it out and really have a trust and conviction with their schemes and their styles. And that should be the end of Connor Cook. You better not throw one more pass and get that shoulder ready for the championship game next weekend.
18 to go. A win today for Michigan State, and it's a date with Iowa next week and the Big Ten championship game, which really, Brock, in a way, begins the college football playoff, because the winner of that game is going to get a spot in the final 4 teams as Koa Farmer is set to return from about 2 yards deep. He'll actually take a knee, and we'll check in with that now. All right, Adnan, thanks very much.
First and 10.
So starting at the 25 is Christian Hackenberg. But defensively in the second half, Penn State has shown no signs of being able to stop the Michigan State offense. Saquon Barkley, flag down. Runs a man over and picks up 11, but the flag almost immediately thrown towards the tackle box.
I think that's going to be a hold on our guy, Malik McDowell. Once again, doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Holding offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
And Malik knows it. Doesn't show up anywhere, but it should. I mean, that's a huge negative play on first down, and it's because of his, just his strength and his size. And who wins? Who strikes first? Who's in the backfield first? And we see this all the time on tape, and the guards just left to reach and grab. That time the center, Mangiero.
Well, you made the point that when you look statistically at a defense and you see John Reschke, Riley Bulla, Darian Harris, the three linebackers all have what in common? And what does that indicate to you about this Michigan State defense?
Leading tacklers, 1, 2, and 3. Not safeties, not corners, linebackers, because that D-line keeps them clean.
Hackenberg will run, get what he can. And that's rare. I mean, normally you have at least one of the safeties.
Always.
That is a leading tackler for a defense, but if the ball never gets to the safeties, it says a lot about what those guys up front are eating up in terms of the offensive line.
Pretty similar, actually, with the Hawkeyes. And we saw Iowa earlier this season, and they're very similar. Play a very similar style with their front four that tries to control the line. They just don't do it in the dominant fashion with first-rounders as Michigan State is doing right now.
Hackenberg avoids Shalik Calhoun. Bullets one to the sideline, incomplete. Threw it behind Brent Wilkerson. Well, Brock, we talked earlier today about where your eyes would be and the impact that it would have on today's game, and it's worth a look.
Yeah, you had another quarterback hurry right there. Should have been a sack by Calhoun. He's going to be kicking himself. 25 in his career. And then the other side, Connor Cook hasn't been hit. I mean, he may have been touched twice. He has not. There's not a grass stain to be found. The shoulder's a little sore on a cold night because he's had to be on the sidelines an awful lot. But he's not been touched. Real credit to that offensive line of Michigan State. Pretty dominant tonight.
Here comes the blitz. Hackenberg has the ball batted up in the air. Malik McDowell on the carom. And it's a defensive score.
Bob, not that it matters an awful lot. Iowa was ranked number 4 last week. Michigan State number 5 in that playoff committee. But we do know the eye test matters. How do you play down the stretch? You overwhelmed Ohio State last week. Ohio State pummels Michigan today. And then you come back and really put on a dominant performance like this. It won't matter who's 4 or 5 if it's Iowa or Michigan State because it'll all be settled next weekend. But this group is playing at a different level as all their pieces are now back together defensively. They're no fun to match up with.
The defense gets into the act for the second time, and it's 48-16. Series presented by Jiffy Lube. And there is a road that leads directly to the college football playoff for Michigan State. And now there is only one obstacle left. But it's a big obstacle. It is the undefeated Hawkeyes, and the Hawkeyes could say the same. as the winner of that game next week in the Big Ten championship game has a way to get to the college football playoff, and this is going to be another takeaway for Michigan State. Koa Farmer bobbles the ball inside the 10-yard line. Looked like Jermaine Edmondson recovers it, and it is salt in the wound for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions.
And that look says it all. There's no emotional reaction. He knows this is Koa Farmer. That's still a very young player, making a young player kind of mistake. And we saw it a week ago with DeAndre Tompkins in this same area of the field on a punt. And he's told him and he's instructed him multiple times that there's a handful of plays in most of these games. Now this one's a little out of control with the veteran nature of Michigan State, the dominant nature up front. There's 6 or 7 plays in these games against marquee opponents you just can't have. They're debilitating.
Is that Jack Allen lining up in the backfield? Jack Allen, the senior center, lines up as the ball carrier. Are you kidding me? Touchdown!
Are you serious? Somewhere Joe Tessitore, your old roommate from college, is doing backflips. Because Tesla is nothing more than big men touching the football. Nothing more. And what, look at, you actually see a smile out of Mark D'Antonio.
You know, Mark D'Antonio, when you have a chance to talk to him, comes across as being very stoic, being emotionless, monotone. He is a fun coach to play football for.
And that's representative of it. Is that showing an opponent up? Nope. That's a couple seniors. Guys that have been here and paid their dues. Give them an opportunity to make a final statement in this building before they go try to win a championship. Look at the state wrestling champ. Look at the stiff arm. Give me the ball, coach, and I'll take it home. Lineman's dream.
With it.
Awesome.
Nick Scott unable to return. 55-16 Michigan State as we take a look at our Jiffy Lube expert analysis.
And we look at centers running in touchdowns and touchdown passes, but look at these 2 plays in the red zone. They are so representative to me of that line of scrimmage play. The fundamentals, the technique of using your hands, of striking first, of you leveraging that play so everybody can come around and tackle. And conversely, look at Penn State. The inability, and these are some of their better players, and that's Zettel and Austin Johnson inside, their inability to get off blocks, their inability to contain, and to just be run on when the game mattered the most.
Trace McSorley takes over at quarterback for Penn State. Swings one to Godwin. And Godwin's out of bounds with a Nittany Lion first down. So McSorley, who in high school had a record of 55-5 as a starter, the redshirt freshman who threw for 36 touchdowns as a senior and took his team Briarwoods from Ashburn, Virginia, to the Virginia State Championship game 4 times. They won 3. He replaces Christian Hackenberg, who's now done for the day. Blitz coming, and McSorley. A strike to Geno Lewis.
I think one of the questions is going to become, is this it for Christian Hackenberg? Not just for this night. And he's going to have a bowl game for Penn State, but is this it for him in the regular season as a Nittany Lion? We asked James that point blank, and he told us pretty clearly that he is going to have a conversation with Christian, with Austin Johnson between now and their bowl game. He didn't want any announcement after the game. He didn't want anything that happened with Ezekiel Elliott or anything else. That they're going to have poise and everything in composure after this game, but they will sit down, they will have a conversation. And I got to be honest with you, being around them the last couple weeks of watching and studying and talking, I think it may indeed be his final game in the regular season as a Nittany Lion.
Well, whoever plays quarterback next season for Penn State is going to have Saquon Barkley to hand the ball off to.
Sure is.
And he is a difference maker, a true freshman that came into today with 904 yards rushing. And now he's closing in on 100 today as well at 92 yards against Michigan State. So
And he's closing in on DJ Dozier's freshman record over 1,000 yards.
Well, nearly 1,100 yards rushing this season for Barkley. McSorley, that's a strong throw outside the numbers to Godwin.
But we talked about this last week with Christian as well, and that is he's going to have to really have a conversation with coach and those around him of where is this program going? Where will this offensive line be next year? Where will Saquon Barkley in this receiving core? A lot of them come back. They only lose one starter up front, and that's Angelo Mangiero, who's played guard and center. And is he going to continue to develop and get better here next season with James and the staff, or is it going to be going to the NFL? He's going to go to the NFL, by the way, not with his stock at an all-time high. I mean, you could really argue that his stock may be not at basement prices, but it is certainly not what anybody deemed it was going to be after his freshman year or even coming into this season.
Well, last season, 12 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. This year, 15 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. So, actually 16 touchdowns with 2 today, as he hands with McSorley giving to Barkley, and Barkley able to pick up the first down. So he did totally flip the interception numbers,
yes,
but still not much production and no wins this season that are notable. Every team that Penn State ought to have beaten on their schedule, they beat, and every game that you would have thought they would have gone in, even as a slight underdog, they've lost. So if you're looking at the total portfolio of Christian Hackenberg, where do you think his future should be next year? Should he come back or should he go pro?
Yeah, as I said, and this is just speculation. This is not knowing and hearing from Christian face to face or anybody else. This was James Franklin telling us yesterday that their relationship is a whole lot better than it was a year ago, and the trust that's being built between them. But the inkling that I have, the feeling that I have, is he feels that his game takes another step at the next level. Even if it means falling to the 3rd or the 4th round and not being that bona fide first rounder, that when you physically look at the skill set of the size and the arm talent, the strength, the productivity as a freshman. And I think what people also forget, his freshman year, he had 3 NFL guys blocking for him. 3 guys on that line his freshman year are all drawing paychecks, and 2 of them starting in the NFL.
And an NFL head coach and play caller organizing the offense as well.
And an NFL wide receiver that he was throwing to with lots of that productivity as well.
McSorley down the sideline, but that's high and wide of Deshaun Hamilton.
It almost becomes a recruiting process for Franklin and his staff to say, here's what we're building. Here's a top 5 recruiting class as we sit here today.
Right.
Here's an offensive line that you can see getting better, not where it needs to be, not close. Here's a freak running back that you've not had for 3 years that just put together a 1,000-yard season. And a Michigan State team that loses some people, a Michigan team that loses a lot of seniors. It'll be quite a recruiting pitch, but in the end, a decision that Christian and the people closest to him are going to have to make.
McSorley on 3rd down and long. Hamilton makes the catch, well short of the first down, only a gain of a handful of yards, so it'll be 4th down and 8. Andrew Dowell made the catch, and in a backward sort of way, you don't know how his career will play out, but it might benefit Christian Hackenberg by being a 3rd or 4th round choice. In the NFL now, you get drafted in the 1st round, you play as a rookie, without question. Nobody sits their rookie quarterback as a 1st round draft choice, but 3rd and 4th rounders sometimes get taken by teams that have a quarterback. And he might have the benefit that rookie quarterbacks don't normally have now in the NFL of watching and learning. On 4th down, McSorley, strong throw to the sideline, but it's wide of Geno Lewis, and it will be a turnover on downs for Penn State. So with 5:10 to go, it goes back to Michigan State, and the celebration will continue, and we will anticipate this, the Big Ten championship game on December 5th in Indianapolis, and it'll be a matchup between the Hawkeyes and Spartans. What do you think?
I think it's a good one. I think Michigan State is going to be more explosive in most of those position groups. I expect them to be favored. You're going to be in a dome on a fast track that probably favors the overall athleticism of the front of Michigan State defensively. Connor Cook, that's been so good in those moments, in the Cotton Bowl, in the Rose Bowl, 22-2 against Big Ten foes, 33-4 now in his career as a starter, and going to be probably even closer to 100% come Saturday, and a whole lot closer than he was today, as I think he still battled through that sore shoulder.
Flag down on the far side of the field, as now Tyler O'Connor has taken over for Connor Cook. Mondre London Picked up about 6. We'll have to check the marker.
Illegal formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
So now that Connor Cook officially is done for the day, and he will move to 33-4 as a starter. We wondered about his arm strength. We wondered about the injured shoulder. But he looked like his old self today.
Sure did. He found a couple of his buddies that he's found all season long, all career long. Right, Josiah Price and Burbridge, the touchdown off the play-action pass early, setting the tone, 5 of 6 on that opening drive, and kind of, I think, quieting any fears in this building or in that huddle of whether he'd be able to physically do it.
London's breaking tackles out to the 48-yard line.
And you take a look at those two guys, in a Connor Cook and a Hackenberg, and the NFL is going to take and dig real deep into Connor Cook and look at 33-4. And I think they're going to see a guy with a tremendously quick release. I think he's a tremendously quick thinker in the way he processes, and that shows up to me more than anything, Bob, on third down and his efficiency there. And he's a winner. And you know, in the NFL, from calling games for 20 years, right, with the Jets, or 16 years, I don't want to age you, that your ability to win and make those critical plays when it matters is really what defines the difference makers at that position at that level. And he's shown that he can do it, at least at this level.
Tommy Vento now takes over at quarterback. So they're going 4 deep down to the senior, who gets a chance on senior day to take a few snaps.
It's awesome. That's what you do. That's what quality programs do. And you know what? Tyler O'Connor couldn't be probably more happy for him. And he knows that Vento did all the work behind the scenes, and he gets no attention, no love, does all the dirty work, doing the scout team and the walk-on and everything else. Opportunity and senior day to get these chances. Remember him forever.
And the same could be said of Philip Michael Williams, also a senior, getting a chance to play late in the game. And look at the guys on the Michigan State bench. They love seeing the scout team players get a chance to get on the field and play. There's almost as much energy on the bench when a scout team guy gets in at the end of senior day and makes a play as there is when they score a touchdown to turn a game around. And now Tyler O'Connor will go right back in the huddle as Vento heads back to the bench. He's not leaving Mark D'Antonio's side, though, just in case he turns around, taps him on the shoulder, says get back in there. O'Connor to throw. And that one is dropped by D'Anthony Arnett.
Another fifth-year senior. So just trying to get an opportunity for your guys that have paid their dues in this program, a chance to shine in this building in front of what is left of this crowd that, well, watch Mark D'Antonio do something that has never been done before. And I know in this day and age you get to play 12 or 13 games, or in his case, 14 games, but to win 11 games now in 5 of 6 seasons, is that right? 5 of 6 seasons he's won 11 games?
And they had never done that before he arrived.
Well, it's never been done in this conference.
There goes Philip Michael Williams again as Vento gets back in at quarterback.
36.
It'll be 3rd down and 6, and that'll take us down to about 2 minutes to go. And this senior class joins last year's senior class and the year before for the most wins in the history of Michigan State football. So that's what Mark D'Antonio has done. He has built 3 senior classes back to back to back that are each at the top of the board for most wins ever. And this group with one more win would be by themselves. Philip Michael Williams brought down well shy of the 1st down. Did the ball pop out? If it did, it looks like he might have gotten it back. Well, Penn State thinks they have it. And they do. So Penn State gets a fumble recovery. So their offense will have a chance to get back on the field as Terrell Barney came out of the pile with the loose ball. So one more chance for Trace McSorley at quarterback for the Nittany Lions. It looks like he was down by contact. Let's see if replay buzzes down and changes the call on the field, or at least lets them know they want to take a look at it before McSorley gets the snap. Well, Penn State gets a break, and they'll run it here with Saquon Barkley. Uses the stiff arm. Now you got some backups on the field defensively for Michigan State. That's a different group out there than Saquon Barkley has seen to this point with 90 seconds to go.
Well, this will be a good one. This is two pro-style teams playing in Indianapolis next week that are going to both try to run the ball, play really sound defense, and the one that makes the 6 or 7 critical plays is going to be in the college football playoff.
And I'll tell you what Iowa's going to hear all week, and they will hear probably not something dissimilar to what Michigan State heard going into Ohio State last week. Backup quarterback and weather conditions against them. Could they do it against the Buckeyes? Well, in a different narrative for Iowa, as Barkley gets across the 40 out to about the 43, they will hear all week, who have you beaten compared to the schedule that Michigan State has played on their half of the Big Ten? Where are the big quality wins? Probably the one you'd circle is a 30-point win against Northwestern for Iowa.
Yep.
But they'll hear all week that they're the underdog, and it would be an upset if they pulled it off. Do you agree, or do you put these teams on equal footing?
No, I think Iowa's a bit of an underdog, but I absolutely give them a chance to win. If Michigan State doesn't play their best game, they will lose. If Michigan State plays to their capability, I think that they have more talent across the board. All those position groups that have no deficiencies, they play their A game, they win. Iowa and Michigan State both play their A game. The Spartans are going to be in the college football playoff. Michigan State plays their B game. They're a little bit unsound. They miss a tackle here. They turn it over there, as they have done in stretches this season. Well, Iowa will beat them, because that's what Kirk Ferentz teams do and have done this season better than ever.
More smiles.
Oh,
Might be a record-setting day for Mark D'Antonio. Smiles.
That's his dance. Look at him. Yeah. My 300-pound center runs in a touchdown with a stiff arm.
That'll be some scene in that locker room for the Spartans when the clock goes to all zeros. And now the same shot we have of Mark D'Antonio on our screen went on the big screen here at Spartan Stadium. And you can hear the crowd react in the background. They love seeing a smile on their head coach's face as Deshaun Hamilton with one last reception for the Nittany Lions. 1 second to go. Now it goes to all zeros, and that will make it official. Michigan State had a win and you're in game, and they put up a win and they are in performance. 55-16 over Penn State. They win the Big Ten East, and they go to Indianapolis to take on Iowa in the Big Ten championship game next week. For the third time in the 5 years that the Big Ten championship game has been in existence, Michigan State is